How do you recognize a natural person? Primarily through a visual appearance, attire, culture, language, right? But how does a government recognize its bona fide population? Well, the strong foundation of any country is laid by its citizenry. And since every person is unique, the government chose to amplify this trait through Aadhaar. This simple Hindi word underlines an expression that now has a profound meaning in the law of the land.
Our country will be celebrating 75 years of independence in 2022. It would be a moment of great pride, glory, and joy. Fresh series of Sansad TV, 75 years, Laws That Shaped India, is a unique program, deliberating, discussing, and commending different laws that have been introduced, adopted during these golden years. I'm your host, Hemant Batra, and today our focus will be on Aadhaar, the biometric identification system designed for every person living in India with an individual ID, used for a variety of purposes. Today, we will talk about this landmark law, the Aadhaar Targeted Delivery of Financial and Other Subsidies, Benefits and Services Act 2016. In the next half an hour, we will discuss why did India need Aadhaar? Role of Aadhaar in our lives. Is it just an identity proof? Its correlation with the right to privacy and how we should safeguard it. The constitutional validity of this law. How is Aadhaar linked to other services? So let's now get into the skin of how this scheme has impacted the population of India.
A step, a decision, a change. This could be possible with a digital and transformative revolution through biometric identity program, Aadhaar. The scheme gave a digital identity to every resident of India. It has empowered crores of people with a secured identity. The statutory body UIDAI, Unique Identification Authority of India, empower residents of India with a unique identity and a digital platform to authenticate anytime, anywhere. As on September 2021, 130.51 crore Aadhaar have been generated. The overall Aadhaar life saturation across India stands at 91.10%. The aim of Aadhaar is to reach the benefits to the marginalized sections of the society. This has become the financial address for the residents of India. Through Aadhaar payment bridge system, the cash is now directly transferred into the bank accounts of beneficiaries. Nearly 120 crore banks has been successfully linked with Aadhaar. The Jan Dhan Aadhaar mobile penetration JAM has impacted the quality of life of citizens and the country financial inclusive objectives. Aadhaar has benefited rural areas in digital transactions verified by the thumb impression. For security and privacy concern, it follows multi-layer, robust and state-of-the-art central identities data repository. Aadhaar has tried to bring transparency, build trust, security, verifiable identification and ease of life.
Aadhaar has today evolved as a necessary ID proof for everyday consumer dealings and activities. It is used for availing many government services, including passport, railways, EPFO, PDS, and many more. To talk on this very important topic, we have with us an eminent panel of guests in the studio. We have with us Justice A.K. Sikri, an eminent jurist and former judge of the Supreme Court of India. As a judge of the Supreme Court of India, Justice Sikri authored and delivered several historic judgments, including the one which upheld the constitutional validity of the Aadhaar Act in 2018. Justice Sikri, it's an honor to have you with us in the studios. And also we have with us Dr. Saurabh Garg, who's the CEO of Unique Identification Authority of India, UIDAI, a nodal statutory authority governing the Aadhaar scheme. He's a senior IAS officer with experience of 30 years in the government as well as World Bank. Dr. Garg, it's truly a pleasure to have you with us in the studio.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So let us start with the discussion. And let me come to you first, Justice Sikri. Justice Sikri, I was going through your judgment which upheld the constitutional validity of the Aadhaar Act. In that judgment, right at the threshold, right in the beginning of the judgment, you have used a beautiful quote of being unique as against being the best. Why do you think Aadhaar is essentially so unique and distinctive?
You see, this is it is an interesting question, because as the introduction was given, Aadhaar is one of the means of identity, if one may look at it. And in that sense, a commoner can think that it is an identity card. Yes. But this kind of identity card, there are several such identity cards available. So then what is the uniqueness of Aadhaar card in this whole scheme of things? There are two ways how we look at it. Number one is, it is a means of identity, no doubt, but this identity is established in a unique way that it cannot be duplicated. Because when in our biometric information is given, which is also iris, as of today it is seen that no two persons' iris match.
Absolutely.
So therefore, once this information is fed in the Aadhaar card which is there, the identity becomes unique, it cannot be duplicated. Right. So therefore, I have been given identity that if I am Arjun Sikri and I am having Aadhaar, there cannot be any Arjun Sikri with this identity in the world.
So basically, biometric, you're using biometric data and demographic information combined together makes the Aadhaar a unique identity.
Yes, a unique identity. And another thing which is very, very important is, there are many particularly underprivileged, those who are illiterate, those who are below poverty line. Many of them were not having any identity in any form. So this unique identity, it becomes a unique in that sense. It has given that identity, because identity gives you empowerment.
Yes, empowerment, entitlement.
Entitlements, etc. under the Aadhaar Act would be there.
But the empowerment.
But it is the empowerment, what I say, has given uniqueness to...
Yeah. That's the foundational aspect of Aadhaar. Dr. Saurabh Gar, moving on to you now. It is widely accepted that Aadhaar is a revolutionary measure, or I may even say that it is universally accepted now and acknowledged. How do you look at it as a transformative tool which has revolutionized or is revolutionizing the welfare governance in our country?
Just to take off from where Justice Sikri left, what Aadhaar has done, it has been able to capture the uniqueness of a person and capture it in a manner which is robust, it is a lifetime, and it is reusable. The ability to be able to verify or authenticate that is the infrastructure which Aadhaar has built.
Right.
And the second thing I would like to add is that you cannot lose Aadhaar, it cannot be lost, it cannot be destroyed, it cannot be tampered with, and it cannot be stolen, because these attributes are inherent in a person and which will remain with the person. And I think because of these two, it has transformed the way schemes have been implemented.
Absolutely.
So I would say that the identity is the base. It's the developments which have been brought in using that identity base, which is what has led to the transformation of implementation of the schemes. And it has also transformed the way benefits are delivered, that you can transfer cash directly to a person's account, which would have not been possible without this basic digital infrastructure being in place.
Yes. Justice Sikri, continuing the discussion, I will like to ask another pertinent question to you. Several petitions were filed challenging the constitutional validity of the Aadhaar Act before you. And there were several grounds. It is commendable that how you dealt with all these grounds so meticulously and in great detail. and yet did not lose sight of the principles of human dignity, social justice, socio-economic welfare.
It flows from, if I may say so, from the concept of dignity.
Absolutely.
We talk of identity.
Right.
Now, identity itself, when we talk of it as an empowerment, and identity is again an element, or it becomes a facet of dignity. Now, what is dignity? Dignity of a human being. For the UN Charter accepted this concept of dignity. It is very interesting that there is none of the articles in the chapter of fundamental right talks of dignity. But dignity word comes only once in the Constitution, that is in the preamble. It
yes.
comes. But dignity is the fulcrum. It is the basis. It is the foundation of all human rights. Because at the end of the day, we are talking about the person, the individual who is to be given their right. So therefore, in this case, when we had in mind this human dignity, and the Aadhaar Act is primarily aimed at that. Because if you see Section 7 of the Act,
Yes.
which talks of subsidies, services and benefits,
right.
these three kinds of benefits which are to be given to the
Which are to be
people,
given.
this is what is the expressions which are used in Section 7.
Yes.
And for that, under Section 4, you have to have the compulsory, it is
Aadhaar.
Aadhaar.
Has to
Now,
have,
it is interesting thing, and that is another philosophy behind this Aadhaar Act. It is a very interesting thing, that Aadhaar is not compulsory.
Yeah, it is not compulsory.
It is voluntary.
Absolutely.
But in order to get benefits under Section 7,
Yes.
then Aadhaar is compulsory.
Aadhaar is so right.
So therefore, if this is the legitimate expectation, if that is of the government also,
Yes.
that if we are wanting to, for the welfare of the people, it should go to them.
Dr. Garg, moving on to you. If we were to carry out a comparative analysis of Aadhaar with similarly placed identification programs in other parts of the world, in other countries, how would you rate or the standing of Aadhaar as to its eminence and credibility?
See, in terms of Aadhaar, I would probably say it is unparalleled across the world.
Is it?
Both in terms of its scope and also in the way it's the architecture, which is of a minimal intrusiveness.
Right.
The data that we collect is really minimal. We just have 3 or 4 aspects of demographic data and the biometrics data, which is essential to be able to verify it at any particular point in time. And I think the way Aadhaar has been designed, it also helps to bridge the social and digital divide, because as was being discussed, Aadhaar, with the way it has been built into the schemes, etc., it ensures, if I can put it that way, the ease of living, and which I would say is the bedrock for dignity. If a person can live with ease, and schemes can be designed which are based on entitlement rather than application, it designs to build empowerment into the hands of people because of that development of their identity.
Happy to note that we are becoming trendsetters in the world. As you know, we discussed earlier that there were several grounds of attack on the validity of the Aadhaar. But one of the fundamental ground was that it violates the privacy of citizen without any legal basis. And as you just mentioned, that Supreme Court has already declared right to privacy as a fundamental right. How did the Supreme Court, or if I may say you as the author of the judgment, deal with the privacy concern?
The primary ground remained that of privacy. Initially, the issue arose whether privacy itself is a fundamental right or not.
Oh.
And because there is no specific right
In the list of
rights that privacy is fundamental. Like I said, dignity, there is no such specific mention except in the preamble. Likewise. So it is only, we have one of the most vibrant article in the Constitution, which is Article 21.
Right.
That is right to life and liberty. And there were some judgments earlier saying that right to this privacy is a fundamental right. But we had one larger bench judgment which says that right to privacy is not a fundamental right. Oh. So initially this matter was before 2 judges or 3 judges, and when this issue was raised and it was said that there appears to be a conflict between the two judgments. So therefore, that bench, this referred the matter to larger bench, and 9-judge bench was constituted. And they held, of course, that right to privacy is a fundamental right, and it owes its genesis not only to Article 21, but even to Article 14 and 15 and 19, except 14, 19, 21, all. Right. So it can be traced to all these articles. So then the question, after deciding that, then the issue naturally, this right to privacy is now a fundamental right. Yes. Now it is to be applied in the context of Aadhaar Act, whether
it is violative.
It is violative. This Aadhaar Act is violating it or not.
Yes.
The question was, okay, you are giving them the benefits,
right?
But you are taking, as was said, their graphic details,
yes,
their biometric details, which are the attributes of privacy. So here then the question comes where the two fundamental rights are there, how to strike the balance.
Right.
Now here, how to strike the balance, we developed the test. It is the doctrine of proportionality. It is the use of this doctrine of proportionality, the act of balancing was done.
It's time for a short break. This discussion is getting interesting. We will talk about other crucial facets of this act on the other side of the break. You stay tuned. Welcome back after the break. You're watching special series on 75 years, laws that shaped India. And today we are discussing one of the landmark legislations passed in the glorious 75 years of independence. That is the Aadhaar Act. We have Justice A.K. Sikri, Dr. Saurabh Garg in our studios sharing all the notable information and knowledge. In this segment, we will continue our prior discussion about Aadhaar benefits and constitutional validity. The Aadhaar bill was introduced in Lok Sabha as a money bill. Many contentions were raised, clarified and debated upon while passing the bill. The opposition believed that bill was wrongly introduced as a money bill. Let us see the glimpse of parliamentary debates in 2016.
The pith and substance of this bill is that whoever gets the benefits of any form of government subsidies, a Aadhaar card production may be necessary. It is on expenditure of the government exclusively. And this is strictly in accordance with Article 110.
Will Aadhaar number be an evidence of citizenship or domicile? That was a point of concern, and that has been mentioned in this bill. The other concern that was in my mind was whether adequate firewall has been created to protect the privacy of every member.
Continuing our discussion, Dr. Saurabh Garg, Justice Sikri explained about the privacy concerns which were dealt with in the judgment which upheld the constitutional validity. But still, you know, people have a lot of apprehensions about breach of data which they share, confidentiality of their information. What are the inherent security features around the Aadhaar scheme which could give some comfort to the common citizen?
I would like to state on the outset that I think information security, cyber security and privacy are topmost in the agenda of UIDAI always. For information security, we have an information security management system, which is, I would say, state of the art in not only in the country but globally. We have a multi-layered, robust system of ensuring that we remain immune from any kind of untoward incidents. We have a hardware which is encrypted to a level which is normally not seen in any part of the country. We have both on the hardware and the software part, as I mentioned, multi-layered systems, and we continue to get intelligence feeds from various parts on what is being attempted, and we keep on upgrading our systems on a very regular basis. I may also add on the privacy side that, because that's a major concern, and on the Honorable Supreme Court in the judgment had kept that as a major bedrock for Aadhaar. Number one, Aadhaar is purely, the usage is voluntary in nature. If at any of the good governance mechanisms, it's only in case a person wants a benefit, then Aadhaar can be mandatory. And even out there, the opt-out is always there. A person can opt out that they don't want certain benefits, and they can opt out of it. We have introduced a feature of an Aadhaar lock. So supposing someone doesn't want their Aadhaar to get used, or they feel that they don't want it to be used in any way, you can lock your Aadhaar, and there is no way any authentication or verification can be. We also introduced a feature which is called a virtual ID, that you might need to share your Aadhaar, but you're not comfortable with the party that you are sharing with it. So you can generate a virtual Aadhaar, if I can put it that way, give that Aadhaar for that particular transaction, and then change your virtual Aadhaar so that even if that person wants to use that virtual Aadhaar a second time, they cannot use it. And I can also add that in UIDAI, we are use blind. We don't store information on what use an individual made for that verification.
Justice Sikri, coming to you, there was another ground of attack on the validity of the Aadhaar Act, and that was that the bill was erroneously branded or labeled or considered as a money bill, whereas the government councils claimed that, in fact, in pith and substance, it was a money bill. So how did you deal with those contentions?
You see, and I tell you, this was a very, very important argument which was raised, and it was a ticklish issue. It remains a ticklish issue for one reason. In the minority judgment or dissenting judgment, Justice Chandrachud held it otherwise. But now Supreme Court has referred this matter to larger bench.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So therefore, it is still a live issue. So that is what I wanted to say to you in the first instance. Once the review petition is dismissed, insofar as this issue is concerned, it is now final.
Right.
But as far as money aspect is concerned, you see, this benefits, etc., which are to be given under Section 7 of the Act, and this money which is to be spent on various welfare schemes, it is from Consolidated Fund of India.
Yes.
This was an admitted fact which was admitted by the petitioners as well.
Yes.
The arguments of the petitioners was that Article 110, under which a bill can be introduced as a money bill, and it is for the Speaker to decide whether it is money bill or not, and Speaker had decided. But the argument of the petitioners was that, look, the word only is also used in Article 110. So therefore, if it relates only to money aspect, then it will pass the muster of Article 110. But here, apart from Section 7, there are other sections and there are other provisions also which were told, and even there was one Section 57 under which even some of the private agencies could also be authorized to use. So therefore, they said that all these other purposes, a few other purposes also, are non-money. So therefore, but Article 110 says only money, only word only. So the moment others are used, which don't have the money element, then it ceases to be a money bill under Article 110. But this was accepted by Justice Chandrachud in his minority, but Justice Chandrachud went and said something more. Aadhaar, which is given, is under Section 4, and 4 has nothing to do about money. So it is not money bill at all. So, but then what we said, some of the, as far as 57 is concerned, it was struck down by us. Its validity was struck down, and we said that what remains is primarily 7, Some of the other provisions, Section 23, etc., which were also, but they are only the creation of UIDAI, etc., but they are only to aid. Unless these authorities are there, how you will implement it?
Absolutely.
So therefore, they are to aid. So therefore, we applied the principle of pith and substance. So in substance, if it is money bill, primarily, which is the focus is Section 7, which is money. So therefore, it can be introduced as section under Article 110.
But in a way, did you uphold the power of the Honorable Speaker in deciding whether the bill was money bill or not?
Actually, here we said that ultimately, because the provision says so. So once he has decided, no, actually, once he decides and it thinks that it is money bill, then that should be respected. At the same time, when it comes to judicial review of the decision of the Speaker, we said it is subject to judicial review. It can be examined by the court.
Right.
Not that if the Speaker takes a decision, that is the final and nobody can challenge.
It is time to take your queries. The question has come from Vishal from Madhya Pradesh. Let us see what he wants to ask.
मेरा सवाल ये है कि कोविड के टीकाकरण के लिए मुझसे आधार मांगा गया, बट मेरे पास आधार नहीं है। क्या कोविड के टीकाकरण के लिए आधार जरूरी है?
Dr. Sarga, would you like to answer to this question?
कोविड के टीकाकरण के लिए विभिन्न प्रकार के आइडेंटिटी डॉक्यूमेंट अलाउड हैं। उसमें आधार एक आइडेंटिटी डॉक्यूमेंट है। उसके अलावा ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस दे सकते हैं, पैन कार्ड दे सकते हैं, पासपोर्ट दे सकते हैं। विभिन्न प्रकार के आइडेंटिटी डॉक्यूमेंट हैं। अनिवार्य नहीं है, आधार अनिवार्य नहीं है। किंतु आधार यदि है तो सहूलियत हो जाती है सबको कोविन में एंटर करने के लिए। कोविन के लिए तो आपको मोबाइल फ़ोन ही चाहिए एंटर करने के लिए, लेकिन आधार के साथ लिंकेज हो जाए तो सहूलियत हो जाती है, बट अनिवार्य नहीं।
You can also send in your feedback at sansad.tv@sansad.nic.in. You can also connect with us on other social media platforms.
Next week, we'll discuss the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act 2010. Send your questions at sansad.tv@sansad.nic.in.
Thank you so much, both of you, for participating and sharing your valuable views. Aadhaar has been the pioneering achievement of India. There are data privacy and security concerns. The coverage of 99% adult population enrolled with Aadhaar shows the trust among the people of India. Aadhaar represents remarkable accomplishments of policy, design, technology, and real-world implementation. Today, Aadhaar is much more than improving targeting and efficiency for subsidy transfers in India. It has added tremendous value to the lives of the Indians. However, digitization of anything would always be under the purview of security threat. That's all we have in this episode. Next week, we will come up with another landmark law. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Namaskar.